like I don't even have any makeup on. I'm so natural and beautiful. Hey everybody, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with the Fingerdoo review of Drag Race Holland Season 2, Episode 5. And before I get started, I just want to say a quick shout out to Nomi Moore. Nomi Moore is a lovely drag queen who has a fantastic YouTube channel. I love watching her. She does some great makeup tutorials. And she had a contest recently on her channel, and I won! Shut your face. What did I win, you ask? Well, it was the Morphe Mani MUA Glam Palette. And I really enjoyed working with this palette. It's got two highlighters, and then this very neutral family. They have one duochrome, Aries, and it goes from like a taupe to a teal, and it's I have that on my eyelids. And I was very impressed with this. I really enjoyed working with it, and I just would like to say, here's the link to Nomi's YouTube channel. Please check her out. I also want to say a shout out to Mani MUA. I have never bought any of Mani's products, and I'm not sure how much of Mani went into this, if he just curated colors that Morphe, presented to him, or if he had anything to do with developing some of these shades particularly. But I like this palette enough that it's actually made me interested to check out Mani's Luna Beauty line. So I'm going to do that. I mean, I'm in the middle of a moratorium. I'm not buying any more makeup. I am not buying any more makeup. But if you've bought any of Mani's palettes from Luna Beauty, please let me know down in the comments what you think of them, which ones are your favorite. At some point, probably New Year, around like Boxing Week, I'm going to lift the moratorium and buy some more makeup. But until then, I don't need it, is what I'm telling you. But I'm excited to know what you think of Mani. So shout out to Mani MUA, and a huge shout out to Nomi Moore once again. I'm also wanting to send a shout out to my Redbubble model this week. This is Andre 2 Gromit. He's from Paris, Très Parisien, and he thought he would get into the autumnal state of mind with autumnal Wilma, which is one of the 4 designs you can buy from my Redbubble page. Now, if you want to know where's the Redbubble page, well, that link is down below. While you're down there, please think about giving this video a thumbs up, and why not subscribe to my channel if you haven't? Because seriously, those 2 acts right there do wonders for the algorithm, which puts me into other people's must-see video lines. So, is that what they're called? Must see next? What to watch? What is that? So yeah, if you got a second, do that. Now, Jorge, drink me! Well, it's very pretty, but there's no garnish. Oh, it's pink. Oh, you used all the garnish to make the pink lemonade. All right. Oh, what's in it? Oh, more peach schnapps. That's... Oh! Well, that'll put some pep in your pucker. And I'm talking about this one up here. Rude. Thank you, Jorge. Got 2 of these, and I won't even care if there's a garnish. I'm just saying. All right. Let's get to it. So, we started this episode off by saying goodbye to Ivy, but it seemed like a few of the queens wished it was the Countess they were saying bye to. Tabitha was having smugness issues where the Countess was concerned, while Poonie hadn't expected it to be Ivy who'd sashayed away. The Countess didn't care. She's too beautiful to care, but not too beautiful to clean a mirror. Hey, there's a first time for everything. I hope she doesn't pull a muscle. As the queens took a moment to relax, the Countess asked if everyone agreed with the results of the lip sync. Well, all I can say is those queens must have been sitting right on top of saying something, because right away, Tabitha said, I would have preferred Ivy, and Keta said that if it was down to the lip sync, the Countess would have lost. And in her most Earth Mother-like voice, Vanessa told the Countess to learn to let go. Not that any of them had been giving this a lot of thought. Seriously. The next day, as Poonie was feeling her oats about finally winning a badge, Vanessa pointed out that she and Tabitha still didn't have one. Tabitha didn't care. She said she's a diesel engine. I'll tell you, engine was not the word I thought she was going to say after diesel. I'm so serious. Tabitha is a diesel engine, and she takes a bit of time to warm up, I think is what she means, and a badge doesn't matter. I love it when the ones who don't have a badge say they don't matter. Really brings it home for me. Thank goodness Rue's video message brought them back to reality TV. This week's message was full of makeup and family references with a big old Mr. thrown in for good measure. Wow. The queens were stunned, but not so much that they couldn't greet Fred with a little choreographed hello when he arrived. So cute. Fred was feeling the love, which was a good thing because this week's mini challenge was honoring the world's first gay marriage that took place in Amsterdam in 2001. Gert and Dolph, one of the couples who got married that day, were on hand to either renew their vows or reenact the happy day. Still not sure which, but this time the queens would be officiating, and the most memorably hilarious queen would be the winner of the mini challenge. First off, the queens got to ask the happy couple some questions to help them personalize their speeches. And then Fred popped in to let them know that they had to also incorporate the words rhododendron, washer fluid, and menstrual cycle into their speeches as well. Because as we all know, those things come up in gay weddings all the time. And then it was into quick drag while they created their scripts. Before I get into how the queens did, I just want to say I hope that Gert and Dolph got some nice parting gifts for being on the show, because I found this almost impossible to sit through, and what I watched was heavily edited. Those poor men had to sit through the whole thing. Well, if that doesn't break up their marriage, nothing will. The standout for me was Keta Minaj. Her stuttering through her speech was fun. Don't get me wrong, she wasn't great, but compared to the rest of the queens, she didn't suck. Who sucked, you asked? Well, just about everyone else. Vanessa seemed to think having Tourette's would make her memorable. Maybe it did, because all I know is I'd like to forget her performance, just saying. But even so, she still wasn't funny. Neither was the Countess. I'm starting to think that her idea of funny is to make herself look as old as possible. I'd like to check back with her in 20 years and see how funny she thinks it is then. No, I wouldn't. Poonie wasn't sure her choice of portraying a woman who doesn't want to marry people was clear. It wasn't. Something else that wasn't funny was Vivaldi's whore persona, which I'm starting to think is just how Vivaldi rolls. Just me? The biggest surprise for me was Tabitha. I thought for sure this was her challenge to win, but to be honest, I don't remember what she did at all. It's probably for the best. So, when it was all said and done, Gert and Dolph declared Keta Minaj the winner of the mini challenge. Here's to Keta. Good job, seriously. And then it was time for the Maxi challenge. But first, Fred had a surprise for the queens. Their loved ones! Joining the queens in the workroom were Vivaldi's mom, Karen, the Countess's best friend, Lot, Vanessa's beautiful partner, Stevie, Keta Minaj's mom, Joyce, Poonie's sister, Kim, and Tabitha's sister, Germaine. Why were they there? Because it was my fave challenge of all time, the makeover challenge. I have to say, I love putting makeup on other people, but I love watching a transformation even more. And this episode did not disappoint. Right away, the queens proudly showed off their loved ones to each other. Tabitha's sister, Germaine, is a world champion Muay Thai boxer and obviously adored by her brother. Or he's scared of her, I don't know. We didn't get to know too much about the Countess's friend Lot, beyond their obvious love for each other. Poonie's sister, on the other hand, works in healthcare, and from what Poonie said about her getting assaulted by difficult children, she must work with disenfranchised youth, which is so hard, yet so important. Here's to Poonie's sister, seriously. Keta's mom clearly wanted her son to learn a trade, and Keta was hoping that this experience would show her that he did. Vivaldi's mom seemed fun and fabulous, and has been the biggest supporter of Vivaldi's drag. Here's to Karen. Good mom. But the most impressive loved one for me was Stevie. He met Vanessa before her transition and at the time considered himself straight, but they still started a relationship, and he's been by her side and supporting her ever since. Here's to Stevie and the countless men like him out in the world that we never hear of. Seriously. That's what being a real man's all about. In fact, we heard more of their story when Fred dropped in for a visit. It was very touching to hear Stevie talk about his love for Vanessa, causing him to question his own sexuality as a straight man, and how Vanessa wouldn't be the strong transitioned woman she is today without him. This is what I love about being part of the LGBTQIA expialidocious family. hearing heartwarming stories like this one. It was beautiful. Oh. Kenna and Joyce had their struggles too. Her marriage breaking up and her son's rebellious period couldn't have made life easy for either of them. But I have to say, she did the right thing by kicking Kenna out because their relationship seems to be very strong now. You always appreciate things more when you don't have them in your life. You better be watching out is all I'm saying. Tabitha's relationship with her sister Germaine was very touching as well. To have that love and support when Tabitha's own father didn't want a gay child in the house was impressive. I mean, their mother left their father over it. That's love, people. Here's to Tabitha and Germaine. Seriously. Do we have more Kleenex? It was a real eye-opener to hear about the Countess's friendship with Lot. To hear that the Countess was falling victim to the club scene and was even homeless for a while was a surprise to me. It opened my heart to the Countess. Not a lot, just a bit. Poonie's relationship with his sister Kim was unique because Poonie left home at 15, leaving Kim alone to deal with her parents' divorce and her father's drinking. There's obviously still a lot of pain there, but there's love too. Fred said that he was a big fan of Poonie's father's artwork, and Poonie revealed that she'd had some fabric printed with her father's cartoons on it for this week's runway. It looked gorgeous. I have to say, I was impressed by Vivaldi's mom. The fact that she couldn't even remember the first time she saw her son in makeup touched my heart. That she didn't question it or have a problem with it is really, really special. I was also surprised to hear that Vivaldi's been dealing with her own depression over the past few years. She didn't say whether she was getting any help with it, but I hope for her sake that she does. Having a supportive mother must be some help. Seriously. And then it was Elimination Day, and as excited as everyone was to start their makeovers, they all seemed more excited to see Stevie shave off his beard. And they weren't disappointed. Babyface indeed. He looked like a teenager. What? Tabitha was excited to paint her sister because she doesn't like makeup or nails, so this was going to be a first for both of them. And when Tabitha was done, Germaine looked good. But the biggest transformation was obviously Stevie. Vanessa did a fantastic job and was even able to make him look like her. I was impressed. And then it was time for the runway. Fred looked particularly stunning in her metallic cocktail dress and golden locks. Joining her at the judges' table was actor-writer Alex Klassen and, returning once again, Raven von Dorst and Mareike Samalo. First down the runway was My Little Poonie and Zus Kim. I thought they looked great, and I loved their runway enough to give it a Fingerdoo, even with Poonie's minor wardrobe malfunction. Nobody likes a blocked butt, just saying. Speaking of, I thought Tabitha and Germaine looked great too, even if their runway was a little simple, but I still gave them a Fingerdoo. I loved Kenna and Joyce's ode to their Indonesian heritage, so much so, I gave them a golden Fingerdoo. Or two. I really wasn't paying attention. The idea of Vanessa's partner Stevie being Cupid was a nice touch, and the two of them not only looked like they were having fun, but they looked gorgeous as they walked that runway. Fingerdoo for Vanessa and Stevie. Seriously. I could just about vomit. The Countess and Lot were so stunning. Even though their runway wasn't particularly impressive, I still gave them both a Fingerdoo. I may need to get me a platinum blonde wig. Seriously. I'm sorry, but the best runway this week was Vivaldi and Karen. From the top of their multicolored wigs to the bottom of their pink and blue shoes, this was the most original thing I've seen on the runway all season. And the fact that Karen crocheted both outfits staggers me. I've never been able to learn how to crochet. So, Fingerdoos for Karen and Vivaldi. Seriously. And then it was time for the judges' critiques. Kenna and Joyce were up first. Alex Klassen loved their costumes and could definitely see a family resemblance, while Mareike loved that Kenna was wearing a different style wig because it softened her features. The Countess and Lot were next, and right away Raven von Dorst pointed out that the category was back to my roots and wondered where the Countess's roots were. Obviously on the posh side, but the posh side of what was still a mystery. Mareike told Vanessa that she enjoyed being taken to her fantasy world every time she walked the runway, but This time, she didn't know where to look because of how good Stevie looked. Raven said that every woman is a man, every man is a woman, and every man and woman is a star. True words. While Fred was moved by their story and their love, and was excited by how many people would be inspired by their story. It was a good week to be Vanessa, is all I'm saying. Tabitha and Germaine were next, and Alex thought their runway was a tad simple, while Fred was impressed with how soft Tabitha's makeup was. It's her face that's hard, I'm just saying it. Puni and her sister Kim were next. Mareike was not only impressed with how much they looked alike, but how similar their runway walk was. Raven's only complaint was that the print on their outfits wasn't bigger so that they'd be easier to see. I agree. Finally, Raven owned big hit with the judges. Fred asked Karen if she had a message to the moms out there with fledgling drag queens, and it was embrace it. I have to say, I was really touched to see the love these two have for each other, and all the other judges agreed that they did a fantastic job. Here's to Vivaldi and her mama, seriously. Then Fred asked all the loved ones to tell their queens why they were so proud of them. I didn't like this. This is right up there for me with baby pictures at the finale. Of course, there were tears, and yes, there was love. What can I tell you? It was a rich tapestry. And then it was off to the Untucked Lounge, where the Countess had a rare emotional moment inspired by all the love in the room, and Tabitha praised Stevie for being who he is and loving who he wants, regardless of what others might think. Stevie made a good point. He said, once you're over 60, who will be with you in the retirement home? I'm almost 60 now. I'm so alone. Then the conversation was directed to the task at hand. Who thought they were going to be in the bottom? Well, the Countess did, but was miffed because she thought she was being quite genuine on the runway. Too bad that wasn't the task. Tabitha was expecting to be in the bottom because the judges thought her runway was simple, but it was her choice to lead the judges and the viewers at home into her fantasy. I guess what the judges were saying is they wished Tabitha's fantasy was a little more fantastic. Puni thought she'd done a good job with amplifying the family resemblance. She was still not feeling very confident. Back on the runway, it was announced that Vanessa was this week's winner. Here's to Vanessa and to Stevie. They're inspiring children, seriously. But that wasn't the big news. The big news was that there was a bottom three, not a bottom two. Tabitha, Puni, and the Countess were lip-syncing for their lives. Everyone was gagged. For the most part, this lip sync was okay. The Countess looked gorgeous and moved around a little more than she did the last time, but the stars of this show were definitely Tabitha and Puni. They were intense and energetic. Hell, Tabitha even served up her milkshake, so when the lip sync was over, it was no surprise to me that Tabitha and Puni shantaed, and it was the Countess that sashayed away. So, what do you think? Did the right queen go home? Is Tabitha hanging on by a thread by still not winning a badge? Or is someone else in trouble? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And while you're down there, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It is the best way you could support the Fingerdoo review. But if you'd like to support my channel even more, the links to leave a tip or do, or buy merch off the Redbubble page, or even become a member of the Fingerdoo family on Patreon are all in the description box down below. So, until next week, miss me! Mwah. Seriously, I'm sorry that the Countess I felt that she kind of got picked on. I mean, she was the only one there that didn't have an actual blood relative or partner there to support her, which has to say something about her family and maybe the history she has with her family. And if that's the case, showing her true roots on the runway could be very hard or very difficult. Although I will agree with the judges, she didn't give them anything. Blonde and a black cocktail, well, that's anybody. Put a brown wig on her and she's Audrey Hepburn, I'm just saying. But Lot, oh my God, was she ever beautiful. What a gorgeous, no wonder they're friends. They're those pretty girls that just sit together and watch everyone walk by in their dress for less outfits. I mean, not that they're mean, I'm just saying, they just sit there. So now Tabitha's the only one without a badge. There's something about Tabitha where I feel like she's holding back or afraid to kind of let go, or maybe, I don't know, maybe she's just intimidated by the younger queens and their fabulosity. But she really shouldn't be intimidated. I think Tabitha's a force to be reckoned with. She's got a great rear end, I'll tell you what.